Hi y'all, Jeff from the Idiot Car Guys. So, sometime back, I purchased this car, from a friend of mine, if y'all remember in the first video, where it's got a head gasket issue and a few other things. It's got the little dent on the back and whatnot. So, and I put it out there to everybody and ask if, what should I do? Should I keep it, scrap it, or whatnot? So, Tom came over, a couple weeks ago or so, and we started the car, and he doesn't believe that there is a head gasket issue, but there's some further testing that we can actually do just to test that to see what it is. So what I'm going to do is actually going to start the car, and we're going to let it run and get up to operating temperature. And because I've never had this car up to operating temperature, and just to see, what is taking place. If it loses power and those kinds of things, then water could be entering into the cylinders and things like that. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and pop the hood, and I'm going to look under the hood to see where my levels are right now. In fact, we'll check the oil just to verify if there's any water in the oil. I just started it to move it from one little spot over to here, and I'll open the hood. Remember, we got to prop this hood up because the hydraulic cylinder that holds it up is broken. So let's get that done first, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll start the car, and we'll just see what it does when it gets up to operating temperature without a load on it. So I'm going to grab a trusty little rod that I happen to have here. Well, see, with that hood not being able to open, too many things in the way. All right, let's see if we can get this open again. There's the hood. All right, let's grab the rod. We'll set this rod in here. Actually, you know what? This is a Mercedes-Benz. We can sit here and lock it in its upright vertical position, so everybody can actually see under the hood of the car. So right now, cooling level. Let's see if it had pressure. So I just opened it up. It had pressure. Definitely an oil smell in there, and there is no liquid in there at all. And I also see in the bottom of the reservoir there is looks like the gasket seal for right here. There's an O-ring in there anyway. So it was under pressure. This car is also missing its fan shroud, so got to be careful when we're tinkering around under here, because I don't want to get the get your fingers caught in the blades. Let's just take a look at the oil, and there's virtually, the oil is actually in pretty good shape. It's a little below the halfway mark on the dipstick, but we'll go with that for now. But that does concern me about the coolant reservoir. So I'm going to start this up, and we'll just let it sit here and run for a little bit, and just to see what happens. Okay. So I'm going to go grab a rag real quick while this is warming up. Meanwhile, so I have a starting point for the coolant. I'm going to add just a little bit. Not going to hurt anything, but I want to see it if it's even holding any coolant. So we'll just pour a little bit in there just to see what happens to it. Now while, it's drawn down, so we definitely did not have any coolant in the engine. So yeah, there's got to be a leak someplace, because it just drew it down. So the mechanic this came from, I'm going to guess, yeah, they must have run an accurate test on it. Notice how the engine drew down a little bit. That means the water pump picked up the coolant and is trying to circulate it. It's a warm day right now. It's about 85, 90 degrees outside. So it's not going to take long for this engine to heat up. Now, meanwhile, from the time of the first video till now, I tried to sell it, and I had people offering all kinds of weird amounts of money, stupid low, low offers. And, it's like I told them, the car itself, it is pretty much rust-free underneath. I mean, the whole undercarriage is in really great shape. It's just the head gasket, apparently, and I'm almost now convinced that it is the head gasket. So what Tom and I almost decided to do, and we haven't, for the most part, confirmed what we're going to do, but he's got the garage that and has a little bit more time where he might actually want to tear into this. It's a simple motor. I mean, it's a 6-cylinder engine. Everything is right on top. There's a lot of pieces and parts that you got to take off, but it's pretty simple to work on. He's entertaining the idea of actually taking apart the engine this winter, so I may just haul it over there. Now, are we going to gain what we lose, what we're going to spend on it out of the car if we decide to sell it? That's the $6 million question. However, he's also got a little bit more, he's a little more advanced in the bodywork side of things, so he could fix that dent back there in the back, pound it out, smooth it out, and then the little spot in the hood as well. So let's see what our operating temperature is up to right now. And we're almost there. It's already at about 80. Oil pressure is sitting just above 2. We got a little over a quarter tank of fuel in it, so we should be sitting pretty good there. I wish I'd have brought out a jug of water to run through it, but quite frankly, if we're going to address this and take the engine apart, there's no reason to spend the extra money on the coolant or and add water, because I don't want to risk it freezing. So engine runs pretty smooth, as you can probably hear in the video. Got a little whine in the water pump, it sounds like, but with that age. And by the way, this thing has got let me check the exact miles on it. 157,929 on it, and I think I advertised it with 163,000 miles on it. Tell me what y'all think. I mean, again, it sounds good. It seems to run pretty good. The mechanic that this came from said that it failed one of the cylinders. I don't know which one. I'd have to pull each of the plugs to figure out which cylinder probably has the head gasket leak. I don't think it's going into the oil, but I haven't seen, of course there hasn't been any water coming from the outside of the engine based on the pressure. Now I can feel the heat now. It's actually heating up. I think what I'm going to do is pause the video for a little bit and pick it back up. I'm going to go actually get some water, because I really want to see how this reacts, because we are at operating temperature, and yeah, it's it is starting to run a little rough. I think I do want to add a little water, and I think they may be right. This is it's not overheating though. I don't want to hear that buzzer, so I'll close the door and I'll look in here. Yeah, it's up to operating temperature. One of the questions when I put it up for sale, well, can it make it to, you know, to here, or can it make it to there? You know, guys, I don't know. It's a car that has been diagnosed to me that it had a head gasket, you know, issue. Would it make it? Maybe. Would it not? This is starting to get a little smoky here. I think we are going to overheat. So let's go ahead and shut it down. Yeah, it is hot. I can tell that it has gotten hot. So the question is, you know, one of the questions it was, would it make it here? Would it make it there? You know, probably, but you do more damage to the motor, you know, by, you know, running it that way. So I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit. I'm gonna pause the video. I want to pick it back up in a little bit, just to as soon as the pressure, you know, as soon as the it's probably, if I open that radiator cap right now, it would pressure back at me. So I just kind of want to hold off for a second, but I can certainly feel the heat from here, and it does look like I can't see any signs of anything leaking outside the engine. Let's see, is there anything coming? Yeah, there isn't any water in the engine. It could be something else too, that just out of curiosity, maybe it just completely ran out of water, and they assumed when they diagnosed it, because the reservoir was empty, that it was a head gasket. But you know, this isn't hot. This isn't hot. The engine temperature gauge says it's a little over 80. Wonder if we have a bad thermostat. So see, these are things that you know, we can start tearing into and check it out. You know, I think this is something that Tom may, you know, if he wants to entertain this, I think the car is still worth saving. Tell us your thoughts. I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna go get some, just add some water into my jug and see if I can't get that to get some water to flow through the system, and see if there's any telltale signs, and we'll pick this back up shortly. Okay, thanks for waiting there for just a moment. So I've already come back out and I've taken the radiator cap off, and there was no liquid that escaped. It was still under pressure, so I'm going to add water slowly into the reservoir here, and let it kind of draw into the radiator on its own before I start the car back up. Because there is no liquid in this at all. So, okay, went a little over and it's drawn down. And when it gets drawn down a little bit more and I get it filled back up, then I'll start the engine back up, and we'll see what it sounds like. And we'll watch the temperature gauge. It'll go down because we'll actually have some coolant through it. At least we hope it goes down, because if it doesn't, that means the water pump's not turning anything. So looks like we've drawn down about a third. Yeah, about a third. So we're adding more back in. Whoops. Now these are kind of basic tests. This is kind of things that my dad used to teach me, you know, way back, you know, when he was back when I was in high school. But back in those days, you know, a lot of times you didn't even have a reservoir. You know, you just had the radiator, and You know, if you took the radiator cap off, it back pressured all the moisture and you burned yourself. Now you have these that actually help in that, but if it was completely under pressure with a lot of water, this would have acted like a radiator back in the old days. Yeah, it drew down about another third again. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set the radiator cap right there, set the jug cap right there. We'll go ahead and start it up and let's see what she does now. Oh, I think the key's still in it. Yep. Okay, so temperature gauge didn't move any, it didn't go down any. This has only been about 3 or 4 minutes since I shut it off, so let's just see what happens. Let's see if it drew this down, and it didn't, so the thermostat hadn't opened, but again, you can hear the water pump grinding away a little bit. And at the operating temperature it's sitting at least according to the gauge, that thermostat should have opened. So I'm just wondering if the thermostat is actually bad, and that's where we need to start. There is some telltale signs of, you know, dried water around here, dried coolant. Which could indicate that there's been a hose leak. But yeah, I'm not seeing or hearing, I'm not seeing it drop. The water level hasn't dropped any more since I added the last. Let's just take a peek here. Oh, it did a smidgen, but not much. Let's check the temperature gauge again. Yeah, see, it's now up to it's right around 100, which in reality that's about the way where it's supposed to be. I like to see it just a needle mark right around just above the 80. But you know, those gauges are mechanical, so there can be a little variance in that. Yeah, that thermostat should be open, and this should have drawn down by now. It's been what, folks? 4 minutes. Let's see what the temperature gauge is looking like, because I may have to shut this down. Yep, temperature gauge is still holding there. Another test Tom was doing the other day was, you know, checking for moisture coming out of here, and there is a little bit of moisture, but it doesn't smell like any coolant. But again, we know that the radiator didn't have anything in it. So the question is, would it make it 15 miles down the road? Who the heck knows? It might. You might have to pull over and add coolant again, or you know, or water or something or other. But you know, folks, you tell me. I mean, this car is, I believe, is worth saving. I mean, every part on here is all original. It looks like they've gone to Pelican Parts and gotten some replacement parts. I know we have to deal with the wiper blade, although now it seems like it's locked into place. Maybe when I turned it to the correct direction, it locked into the transmission. You know, needs a radiator shroud, which that's not a big issue. That can be found online. I'm not feeling any water in this upper radiator hose, and that other radiator hose is a little too close for comfort. I say, folks, let's start with the thermostat. Let's see if we can remove the I'll start with maybe removing the thermostat, getting water to flow through the engine, see what we've got. Of course, I'm not under pressure right now, but that thermostat should have opened. I could go ahead and pressure it but it should have drawn down. Let's go ahead and pressure it up and just see what happens. And I don't have, folks, the fancy equipment to, you know, to test that. So I'm going kind of old school. But I'm not getting the smell that I was a little bit ago either. So something's telling me it might have been a misdiagnosis, or we've got a little, you know, bit more diagnosing to do. I think this might be a good project for Tom to take a look at. He's got a garage full of tools. He likes tinkering with things like this. As you know, his last video, the Cavalier, he searched for that alternator bracket, got it found, started right up. Everything purred out good. The voltage was good. You know, this may be something, and I think this might be a little car his wife would like to drive. So, you know, it's an old school Mercedes. My father-in-law has one, and he drove it from Baton Rouge to Tulsa and back and never missed a lick, but it was the 4-cylinder, not the 2.6 6-cylinder, or the 2.6 6-cylinder. His was the 2.3 4-cylinder, and he averaged, I think it was right around 30 miles per gallon, 32 miles per gallon. So, folks, tell me what you think. I think that I think this would be a good project for Tom. And quite frankly, that temperature gauge has dropped a little bit. It's now just about a full needle and a partial of another needle above the 80 on the temperature. So still running pretty smooth. So I think what we're going to do is, I think I'll haul this over to Tom sometime in the next month or so and give him another little project for him to work on. And maybe we've resurrected another Mercedes-Benz. Folks, we appreciate you viewing. This is kind of an off-the-cuff video. I'll shoot another video of an update on the Cadillac Elante. I ended up taking it to a shop, and was that repair bill a little bit more than I bargained for. But the car runs, but you know, this is that car was kind of a buyer beware kind of thing. I learned after the fact. They said this was replaced, that was replaced, and it kind of clearly looked like it was, but it wasn't, because we had to replace parts that were already replaced. So anyway, thanks for watching. We appreciate you subscribing. Share this with your friends. If you have any suggestions or any comments you want to make towards this video, please do put it in the comments, and we appreciate you watching. Thank you.